Getting my walk in for the day. Yes! Before my parents stop by for a visit. Feels good. Someone left a comment recently on one of my past videos where I unboxed a flute that I'd purchased on Amazon and gave it a review. And they wanted me to review another flute. I wasn't willing to just purchase it for the sake of a review only, but it did get me thinking about my journey through the various flutes that I've had, and I thought it would be fun to talk to my parents about it. As it turned out, they didn't remember much about that journey. I know in the past they have remembered more, but it's been a long time. It's been almost 40 years ago, so I'll cut them some slack. I tried to do the best that I could in remembering my details, and I found some old receipts to help with those details. And I do want to say on another note that I didn't bring out as I talked to them, but I had responsibility as well. When I started taking flute lessons, my mom paid for the first few flute lessons just to see if I would like it, and then I was responsible for paying for my flute lessons from there on. And I'm really grateful for that. And also I invested my own babysitting money in purchasing a piccolo. I was invested in my instruments as well. So it wasn't just that they handed me these things and they thought carefully about the helping me with each step along the way. So this is my journey, flute journey. I was trying to recall what my flute history has been. I've had 4 flutes. My first one was an Artley flute. I thought my mom could help me remember, or my dad, but as it turns out, it's been too long ago. But I do remember it was 1986 and it was Christmas time. We were in the US and we were with my dad's parents, and that was one of my Christmas gifts. It was an Artley student flute, and we can't remember where it came from. We did determine that it was not my aunt who also played the flute. She did not give them her flute to give to me. We called her and found out that piece, but maybe from a thrift store or something like that. You all got a nice cheap.
Sorry.
Probably a cheap one. I shouldn't say it was cheap, but it was a student flute. And then we moved to Jakarta, and my band teacher in 6th grade said, you need a new flute, or she told you that I needed a new flute. And my parents were able to they found out that supplied instruments for missionary kids. So they got in touch with them, and we still have the receipts. I was pulling that out, and Mom and Dad ended up selecting a Gemeinhardt flute. It had a silver head. It was open hold with a B-foot key on it, and that was my flute through middle school and into high school. And then in high school, I started taking flute lessons, and my flute teacher said I needed to step up again into a better quality flute. So we searched at that point, and I remember my flute teacher helped us too. I remember that. Do you remember?
Helped us in our selection.
Yeah, or in the search. Did she go with me to the store? Do you remember that?
Don't remember.
I can't remember for sure or not, but I remember her saying I needed to try the flutes out, not to just go by some kind of a recommendation, but I needed to try them out myself and decide for myself which one I liked the best. So then we got a Yamaha that was all silver, the whole body and head, open hold still, and B-foot. And that's the one that I had through college and into adulthood. And eventually I got, it was your mom's inheritance. Got some inheritance money, and I decided I was going to step up another level. So I went to a flute store that's not too far away and got my current flute, which is a Miyazawa. It's all silver and has a gold riser, meaning that it's got a little spot on the lip plate where the air strikes gold, so that affects the sound of the instrument. But my parents have been very supportive. I was telling my mom, I remember when I got my Yamaha flute in high school and I dropped it and it hit my music stand as I was practicing and it scratched it and I was crushed, and my mom was very full of grace and just said, it happens. Everything we get is going to get broken or scuffed up somehow, and now you've already got that behind you and you can move on and just enjoy your flute or something like that. And then I had a second mishap with it. We bought it in October, then November, December, January, I think February, if I'm not mistaken. It had to be taken into the shop because it had a silver polishing cloth, and I thought, well, this is a silver flute all the way through, so if I polish the outside, how much better if the inside of the flute is polished. So I ran my polishing cloth through the flute, and it had some kind of chemical on it that destroyed the pads. So we had to have the pads replaced a few months after that instrument came into my hands. So there were some hard knocks with those flutes, but my parents have been incredibly supportive and
of course
helped me with my flute journey all these years. Anything you'd say, Dad?
No, just proud the way you've progressed and the way you're using it for God's glory and people's encouragement and enjoyment. It's great.